Hey guys, I'm SlaveToTheGames, and we're back with another discussion about Scum. This time we're going to be talking about the second developer stream that ended up showing up. And I'm here with Syntax Toxie. Feel free to introduce yourself.
Hello there. We've gone through this. Move on.
And then also Chaotic Rob.
Hello!
And then I guess you could say we have a guest star appearing again from a previous stream, Kakodane.
Hello.
Okay. And the first one that I'm going to go straight into with the next stream is one I wanted to say that Syntax, it's confirmed there's a prison. How do you feel?
As much as I expected it, I guess.
I'm pointing this out because previously everyone was like, no, it doesn't confirm there's a prison. But I was like, no, there's gonna be a prison.
Oh yeah, but the problem with what we were saying was that the whole island itself is basically a prison. That's why I think was the main debate.
Yeah, I just wanted to have that extra oomph to it and be like, no, there's gonna be a prison on this super prison.
Yeah,
do you
but
think? Oh, continue.
Yeah, but the problem with that prism is it has a lot of those sentry bots which are OP.
You
That's
know,
the point.
I know. You can get a lot of high tech loot there and a lot of really good equipment and everything, but there's a really easy chance that you're gonna die by getting it or even trying to get to the prison.
Honestly, I have a feeling the prison's going to be one of the places that the Tech One company is going to be giving out keys for the larger groups.
I'm actually a little bit worried, to be honest, after seeing this stream as well. Because from what I've seen, like, obviously the sentries, they're a threat. Like, they are obviously going to be hard to kill. I have no doubt about that. But at the same time, I'm still a little bit worried in terms of how many puppets there are. But one thing, before I continue that with the puppets, is I like how they don't die in like 2 to 3 hits, you know? You have to actually fight them. They're not just something where it's kind of a pain to get rid of, or you could just quickly take care of them and just move on, you know? From what I've seen, they actually look like they can actually do some damage.
Yeah, in the dev stream they showed a few different types of them, and even the smaller ones took like 4 to 5 shots to kill, and the bigger ones took like 10 to 15 shots depending on the size. So and they were using rifles. They weren't using like small guns and stuff like that. They were actually using bigger bullets to kill them, and they were still struggling a bit.
What do you think about the
Well,
people who...
Don't forget, one of the puppies ended up wearing body armor, or had body armor on when they were attacking it, and that actually gave it better defense.
Yeah, but there was that big one, if you remember, in the prison while they were entered the room,
The really
and
fat one,
like
yeah.
killing one smaller one and the fat one. The fat one took a lot of damage.
What do you think about the
Well,
people
that's
who say that the zombies are too much of bullet sponges? What's your opinion on that?
I honestly like it. It makes the zombies a lot more of a threat.
What about you, Syntax?
Well, I find it to be realistic because, after all, the fat one had bulletproof. It had a bulletproof vest on him, so especially with guns and with basic melee weapons, I don't believe he would be able to cause much damage through that vest itself. And also, as the devs themselves mentioned several times, shoot for the head.
I definitely agree with that. I think I like it.
There was that one that had the military grade helmets.
Actually, Syntax, I have a reply saying that the bullets used in these rifles were .22 rounds, and it's not really that big of rounds.
That was probably directed at me, though.
Maybe.
But yeah, they said themselves caliber is gonna matter a lot. If you try to shoot a bulletproof vest with a 9mm, it's not gonna penetrate. If you have a large caliber, like a sniper rifle or whatever the hell, it's gonna bam go through. So I like the idea of that. And they also said about military helmets and stuff like that. Smaller calibers can simply ricochet off of it and maybe kill somebody else, or at least wound somebody else. But again, if you have a higher caliber, it's just gonna go through.
Bullets used in these rifles were...
So if nothing else, it's just an added layer you have to think about when playing the game.
Okay.
Oh yeah, indeed.
I definitely think it's great that they take more damage personally, just because, like I said, it adds a little bit more danger to them. And also, when you hit them or anything, as you guys saw in the stream, they kept swinging at you. They didn't, like, recoil, and then you could just spam hit them or spam punch them to the point where they couldn't attack you. Like, they would still attack and they'd still run at you because... And then this fits into the lore because they're reanimated by the BCU and then used to go around and act as zombies as the default state. And then in this state, they generally wouldn't feel pain, so other than the fact of like maybe how powerful a gun is and the force and impact that it takes on the body, that could explain if they did recoil from the shot, or at least fall back a little bit, or stumble, or have like a small second of paralyzation. But at the same time, I like how it doesn't do that because it kind of goes into the fact that they don't feel any of that. And that, sure, maybe they can recoil a little bit, but I think they should focus on just them being able to do this. I think what they're doing with the puppets/puppies is good. It's starting to alleviate my fear in that aspect. But at the same time, where I was going with this is, do you think there's going to be enough E element in the PvPvE to make this feel like it's not just a PvP with
At
other
the
elements?
at the moment, when it comes to the puppets or puppies, I would say that all in all, it's looking pretty good. The only part that I don't like is that they said the puppets only spawn out in the world. They don't spawn inside of buildings at the moment. Whereas
moment,
most
yeah.
zombie games or most puppy games have it so that the zombies spawn literally everywhere, including inside a building. So that makes exploring a lot more difficult, and you have to be a lot more careful. And
they
they
did
did say they
also-
planned to implement the spawning in buildings later on during EA. I just feel right now it's not quite where I'd want it to be.
I think that I want to wait. I want them to spawn in buildings too. I hope that's something that happens soon. But Syntax, it sounds like you were trying to say something.
I think our main problem as players is that we are currently shit ton hyped for the game, and we have high expectations. So it also might be our downfall and maybe some disappointments. Like for instance, with this, being a bit disappointed with them not spawning into houses yet and stuff like that. But let's just hope there aren't too many of these kinds of situations where we get a bit disappointed.
So what you can take from this, everybody watching, inside of buildings is a safe zone from puppets. Running inside, shutting the door, you're pretty much safe from them.
Okay, and I guess we'll move on. Syntax, do you have the notes open for it, or are you gonna open it at a later time?
I do. Why?
Okay, I was just wondering if you wanted to put stuff out, but at the same time, you guys obviously know that puppets are attracted to sounds, and I don't know if you picked it up quickly, because it kind of was a brief thing in the stream, and that is that you'll be able to hear radios playing in the game.
Yeah, and I like the fact that the songs playing on the radio were actually, if I'm not mistaken at least, were these songs from Gas Guzzlers.
Were they?
Combat Carnage. I think they were, yeah. I recently played the game and I think they are.
Nice.
Okay, 1 second, guys, actually. Just pause for a second, do a brief, like, little talk between ourselves.
Quite a simple answer. I have a 1-year-old daughter. There you go.
Yeah, that's not that's not good enough, man.
Yeah, that's pretty much an excuse why you have them, but not why you're inhaling into that balloon every.
So,
Especially considering it's a damaged balloon at this point.
I cannot find a pristine one, for fuck's sake. It's Yakov, just the same thing like with the Jack Skellington doll that I wanted you to give to my daughter.
Oh, shush, hush! You know you wanted it for yourself.
You know you're
Bloody
getting
course. I am? Ooh,
it. Yeah, you wanted it.
thank you. So see, Yakov, Slave just confirmed that you're gonna buy one for me. Thank you. Love you.
Oh wow, I've actually got something in here from Sasquatch, or from Squatch. He says, I missed if you guys commented on what I said in the Discord on 1,000-player maximum for server rentals. Any comments on this?
I think that
I
would
will
be
have a
bit
comment
too
on it,
much.
but I'm
A
just
1,000
waiting.
players on the map, I think that would be kind of.
No, I don't think that's what he meant. Was it?
On the servers, if you go on to G-Portal's website, it gives you the option to go up to 1,000 player slots per server.
It does?
Damn.
It does, yeah.
Yeah,
Holy
it
fuck.
does. It seriously does. Yeah, but the rental for that
too
server
much.
is about
Yeah, it's a
$500.
ridiculous price. But still, just having the option there, what do you guys think about that?
I think it's just not fully implemented yet. That's my guess.
So
God
yeah, in
damn.
regards to servers, I would recommend going with what the devs have stated as the maximum slots the game can support. And going beyond that, I think would be pointless. It would cause the server to lag way too much, I think.
Okay, let's
If you want to rent it for $1,000.
Yeah, I'm
That's
actually
a
having
1,000
technical
slot server, yeah.
difficulties, Syntax, just to let you know. That's why things are going
Yeah,
on like
I
this.
just opened my browser and I saw always some problems with you, Slave.
There we go. I think I got it perfectly now. At least for the people on Twitch, they'll be able to see it perfectly fine. So,
Yeah,
okay.
your the stream at the top isn't actually lagging. The voice isn't lagging. Just the video in the background lagging.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to fix that. But it should be fixed now. I think we're good to go now.
Again.
Yep. Okay, so, I'm back. Thank you for the wait. Thank you guys for talking about something else. I'm actually free to move on and go on to other topics as well. I just had to fix that beforehand. That's why I was like, talk about something else right now. I don't want to miss this. I need to have our conversation for the stream. I need to fix real quick.
And that's
Okay.
why I had to talk about balloons.
Yeah, your balloon skill.
So, with the server topic that we were just discussing, do you
Yeah.
want me to go over that again
Yep.
now that you have your stream active? Okay, so with the servers now being available for rent, because you can pre-order them now, it states on the website for G-Portal that they have the ability to offer up to 1,000 slots for each server that you rent. What I'm recommending, because the Scum team has stated that the game can really only support up to 64 at the moment, is to really take that into account when you decide how many slots you go to rent when you're doing a rented server.
Now I'll say this. I would definitely not mind playing a game with 1,000 people, right? But
Oh yeah, that'd be.
I mean,
phenomenal.
because can you imagine? Like, if they had 1,000 people in this map, I'm just gonna say like they did. That would be huge. Like, can you imagine? You're gonna run into people all the damn time unless everybody puts something into stealth, and they're all sneaking around, and they all have it maxed, and they're all just stealthing around the damn map. But that would be huge. But at the same time, like, could the game handle that? Could the server handle 1,000 people? And then even with that, if say it could handle 1,000 people, would you be able to spawn enough loot for that 1,000 people? Like, there's so many like things that like could go wrong with that.
And with that being said, is there a cap on the number of people that can participate in any given event as well, or?
I think that if they did do that, since we're talking about that obviously, I think it should stay the same. They should just have a billion different events. Like, they would have to have servers just for events at that point. If you're gonna talk about my opinion in general, I'm gonna say I am against 1,000 people. I think a max of judging by the base of the size of the map, I will go a max of 400, and that's being like as big as you can. I think that would be the perfect one for like a really high populated place, but still at the same time not be too ridiculous.
Basically, you're saying it would be a almost balanced bloodbath.
Pretty much, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Pretty much. Because, I mean, at the same time, it would give you, with 64 people, say, like, all these 64 people don't die or anything, and they have the same name, you're bound to run into people who still live. If you have 400 people, it's going to increase how much people kill each other. It's going to increase every aspect of this survival area. Like, all the griefing, etc. It's going to... All of this. It'll feel populated. I guess the biggest thing here that I would like about this, and I think is a plus, is that the world would feel more populated. And that's one of the big things I like in survival games. Like, I love going and scrounging for supplies and scavenging, but at the same time, nice glove. Off topic, but at the same time,
I didn't even notice it. You're a little balloon glove.
Yeah, God, I don't even know syntax. I don't even know. But pretty much, I think it would be a bad idea to go 1,000. I think that if they're gonna do anything like drastic like that, and for any of you who are making servers and going to be increasing the amount of people that can be in it, I would wait until the game is fully optimized before you do that, or take the risk. But I would wait till it's optimized and then just go a max of 400, because I'm all for having a bunch of people, a ton of people. But you have to make sure that that ton's limited.
But what do you think if they plan to increase the size of the server, like the physical dimensions of the map, to
Like,
the full size
like
of
we
the
said
island,
about adding
so
like
it's
underground
24 by
areas and stuff like
24?
that.
Oh no, I'm talking about making the full map of the entire island available. Because right now, only a quarter of the island is available in the map.
Well,
Wait,
if
what?
all the border is available,
The
that means
12
that they
by
will just
12
make
of
the
the
whole
map
maps eventually.
Is only taking up 1/4 of the island. So technically, if they made the entire island available...
Wait, is that
as one
true? I
giant
thought the
map-
whole entire map was 12 by 12.
Yes, the map
It
is
is right
12 by
now.
12, but that map only consumes 1/4 of the island that Scum participates on.
Are you using the real island in real life, or are you using the Scum Island itself?
Just check.
I
check
am
the map.
referencing what they have stated with the size of the map being 12 by 12, and
Yeah.
they stated that they only consumed 1/4 of the map that they have available to them.
Well, that
So
might
they could
be.
increase the map to a 24 by 24 at some point.
I mean, yeah, they could, and lore-wise, they could easily fit it in, because then they could just be like, okay, well, season 3 came along, and in season 3, they'd be like, oh, well, while the season 2 is going on, we're working on expansions, and then they could kind of have, like, some kind of, like, in construction things to the next place or something like that, or... I don't know, they could fit
Yeah,
it
have,
in
like, barrier
lore-wise,
walls.
though, yeah. And, just to let you know, Tax is saying 400 people is way too much. I still agree, Tax. I still think it's way too much, but I think that's the max it should ever be at if somebody does increase it. And then 500 versus 500 cancer matches.
Oh my god,
is
that'd
what
be so
Zen said.
bad.
So basically, I think everybody's. I think everybody to kind of go on this and finish it. I think the max amount of people that would be perfect for this would probably be around 150 to like between 100 and 150. I think we'll stick to that.
I'd say a stable server would be 150 max.
Yep. I think that would be perfect, because it would have that max, it would have the high population, but it wouldn't have the too high, and then you could still worry about the optimization of the server. But back onto the fact that about that map, I mean, if that's really what's going to happen, I think that would be great. And Zen says 200 would be fine, given it works on Rust, and I believe Rust is way smaller. Okay, so there we have it. Anywhere from 100 to 200 would be perfect. Now,
Actually, I think the Rust map is slightly bigger than the current Scum map. Isn't it?
Maybe. I haven't checked actually what the size dimensions of Rust is, but going off from this map size, Chaotic, what do you think if instead of like also expanding the map to being what's available, what if they also build under the map? Like we were talking about shelters, like adding big shelters with a bunch of tunnel systems. Like, is that something you'd be a fan of? Like, do you care if it's just expanding how far the map goes, rather than expanding under as well, or maybe above?
Well, under and above would be interesting. Like if they had kind of like what they have in the Avengers movies, where they've got the floating fortress or whatnot. If they had something like that that you could possibly get onto, that's hovering above the island, or say if they've got underground bases that you could discover or like take as your own for your own fortified base, that'd be an interesting aspect to include as well.
I don't know. I think that with the map expanding, like, don't get like I love everything that I've read about Scum and everything we've talked about with Scum, and I really want it to be a great game, and I think it's going to be. But at the same time, depending on how big the map is, I think that if the map really is so much bigger, and they're gonna keep expanding on it, I think as they expand on the map, they need to expand how much people are there on a comparable rate too. Like for per whatever amount of feet or kilometers you add, there should be a certain amount of people that is a max added to the game. Because if you keep on making a huge map, you're gonna want to be able to have people that you'll be able to run into without because it's gonna decrease how many times you're gonna run into people. You want that ratio to stay the same. In order for it to stay the same as they make the map bigger or more available for people to play, they're gonna need to increase people to keep up with that ratio. And I think if they're going to do that, that's what they should do.
Or they could increase the threat level of the PvE by increasing the number of puppets or puppies, as well as adding other things like, say, BCU-controlled animals, for example.
Okay, but still, I mean, even with that, I still think that they should increase how many people are there. I think they should definitely already increase the PvE elements, animals, etc. I definitely think that should be increased as well, because that will also bring more life to the game. But I think the best interaction we're going to get in Scum, like any other survival game in my opinion, is by the players. The interactions you have with the players, I think, personally, is going to be my greatest moments, the funniest moments, the anger-inducing moments, the sad moments. Like, all these moments are mainly, for me, going to come from other players. Whereas, if I run into a sentry or a puppet and I die by them, it's, I mean, it happens to everybody. But if it happens to a player, there's going to be times I'm going to rage, I'm going to be pissed off because this person killed me, I'm going to be happy, and then I'm going to kill somebody, and I'm not going to give them a chance. Like, they're like, no, please, don't kill me, and I'm like, I'm sorry. But I'm not really going to be sorry. Like, it's the player interaction in games like these that I believe drive the game and make the game as, not important, but as, anybody know what I'm trying to say here? As good?
Entertaining.
Entertaining as it is. What about
Well, if you think about it in the aspect where they've got the element of survival, and then the element of the PvP events.
Wait,
if you think about it that way.
Oh,
no, he's alive.
No, he was just like.
I'm looking at my other screen.
Okay.
But yeah, if you think about it in terms of the survival versus the PvP events, they could treat it in such a way where the survival is intended to be surviving by yourself or with a small group of friends, and really more of a PvE style rather than PvP. So you don't really see too many opponents too often in the survival side. And then have the PvP events where you're doing a lot of player versus player interactions, as you mentioned.
Well, yeah, but take away the fact that, what about people who don't want to do events? What about the people who only want to do the survive part of it?
Well, that's why I'm saying they could make it into such a way where the survival is treated more as a PvP style, rather than a PvP.
Well, yeah.
Rather than a PvP.
But I know for
if they
a fact,
increase the size of the island and don't increase the population server count.
But I know for a fact, myself, I'm not a huge fan of the events. Like, I like the events being there. I'll do them every now and then. I'll play them for other people. I'll play them with friends. But my main point, the thing I like more than anything about this game, is the survival part. That is the whole entire cake that I am trying to eat. I want the survival. I am in it for the survival. I am in it for all of that. That is my main purpose. The events are a side thing. I will do the events when I'm bored, or when I want to earn some extra fame, or when I'm playing with friends who want to go do that, or maybe if I just, for the hell of it, I just go do it. But my main point is going to be spent in survival, and I'm going to be looking for people to talk, because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to die a lot, because I'm going to try to talk to people, and people are going to be like, I'm going to see him, and I'm going to be like, a guy, a person, oh my god.
And then there's going to be me running towards you with a spear going, ah!
There's one note about the events. They also said that in order to get into the event, you have to pay some of the fame. So just so you know.
Yes, there is a fame entry cost to be able to participate in an event.
Although right now, from what I've seen, the cost wasn't really that much. For a team deathmatch, it was like 10. Obviously, it can change, but like I mentioned before, you're going to be able to earn fame by doing anything in the survival world. That means crafting, looting things, etc. And I don't think it's going to be too hard to get to 10 unless they decide to up it. And even then, I still don't think it's going to be that hard to get to it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, they want to make it to where, yeah, you have to pay fame for events, but like Syntax, Chaotic Robin, I believe you may have been the Kakodani last time, or it was CAG. We mentioned how there might be different types of events where, like, it's going to be a lot more expensive because the fame you're going to get, or the gear or sponsor you're going to get, or whatever you win for doing this is going to be that much more exciting than if you just a regular event, you know?
Kind of like a sponsored event or whatnot, where the viewers want to see something really, really big, and as such, Tech One decides to dish out more reward for it.
Okay, so moving on from that, what do you guys think about the fact that there's going to be soy sauce in the game?
Please. The main ingredient that we need is vodka. That's it.
It'll be there.
Didn't you write spy sauce?
I did, but it's soy. I just corrected it as I was doing it. Thank you for bringing it up. I was
But,
yeah, sorry guys, I couldn't hear what you guys were saying at all.
Okay,
so.
I was just saying, what do you think about the fact that there's soy sauce here, and then Syntax had to,
spy sauce.
you know,
Spy sauce.
he had to go and say my spelling mistake.
So what? We have puppies, we have lick pocketing, and we have spy sauce.
No, spy sauce isn't a thing. I never said it.
Okay, so with
Spy
lick
sauce.
pocketing, what you gotta remember is to put your tongue straight to the lock.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's move on directly from.
Lick pocketing is pickpocketing, not lock picking.
Yeah, let's move straight into the fact that you can throw items, and then depending on the weight, they'll actually be able to distract puppets.
Oh, that'd be interesting, actually.
Yeah, they did say that you can distract puppets with throwing objects and stuff like that.
Yep.
Also, I forgot to mention while we were talking about the ricochet thing, they said that bullets can ricochet of the helmets and or other objects. So so for example, if someone is shooting at you and you're in a group and you have a helmet, it might ricochet from your head and into
And kill somebody
one of your
else.
teammates. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be so friggin' brutal to get killed by
To
a
mention
ricochet
this,
shot.
I was playing a different game called Escape from Tarkov, and just to explain how this could actually screw you over. In this game, ricochet's a thing, and somebody shot a bullet somewhere across the map. The bullet traveled across the map, and I was nowhere near any fight. And all of a sudden, I was running by this 18-wheeler, and I look, and all I see is a flash, and then a sound go phew, right by my face, and it literally almost headshot me. I saw my life flash before my eyes. But that's what you could expect in this game. Somebody could shoot, and you could be running and then out of nowhere, a bullet could just bounce off something and hit you.
So I've got a comment here from Sasquatch.
Yeah, what's
He's
up?
wondering, do you think we could place a shelter down inside the courtyard of the prison or possibly inside buildings? What are your thoughts on that?
I don't think they mentioned it, so I'm not actually sure if that's possible or not.
Have you ever played DayZ? 400 is way too much. Yeah, I've actually played DayZ, but I'm also, like I said, a fan of the interactions as well with players. But 400 was more of an exaggerated max that I was bringing up. It wasn't what I was actually suggesting. If I actually wanted to do one, like I said, it'd be around like 150, 200.
And in regards to your question, Squatch, I think the shelter, because of the way they have the spawn system set up, I don't know if it's going to be where it's a sleeping bag that you can spawn to, or if it's the shelter itself as the spawn point, and how that's going to work with putting them inside of buildings. They really haven't gone into too much detail in that.
Yeah?
Any comments you guys want to add to that?
The only detail they said that when you're actually respawning into a certain sector or a random, they're pretty much just saying that, well, yeah, you could pretty much revive at the random location, a sector, a shelter, or a squad mate, and all pretty much take fame points to do so.
But what is a shelter actually?
Basically in it, it's you can either put a tent down, or you can like get some wood and sticks and then line it up.
Was that confirmed?
Yeah, you saw it in the
you
stream.
can build little makeshift tents.
Maybe not this one, but it was definitely in the first one.
Well, okay, I didn't watch the first one because
Okay,
I was the whole
Yeah,
time
near
I
the end of
thought
the
that
first one, they made one of those makeshift tents out of the wood and whatnot.
because the whole time I thought that the shelter was maybe a safe zone or some shit like that because I didn't watch the first stream, unfortunately, since I didn't have
Oh no, it's
3
just a
hours to
spawn
spend.
point.
But
yeah.
I'm surprised not to see any kind of safe zone to choose for when you revive.
Um, what do you mean? Like, be able to... Oh, okay, actually spawn at the safe zone instead of anywhere else.
But it might be a good idea. Imagine all of the newbies that just got killed spawning there. Could be crowded as hell.
Hmm. I'm just replying quickly to people that, like, not bringing it up. Okay, and then also... Let's see, the body size is also going to determine how fast they run and how much damage they can take. Like, that is actually confirmed. It's not just, like, just what they're wearing. It's also their body size and their weight, how buff they are. Like, whatever their previous stats were when they were killed, that's actually going to impact, like, how well they do in combat and how long they can live, determining also the gun you're using. Because if you shoot them directly in the head, they should drop most of the time.
Yeah.
Unless they've got those military helmets, then you're going, fuck.
It doesn't have to be. It depends on what caliber you're using.
Yeah, they said that some of them just drop you. You just drop that, and doesn't matter if they shoot you. Well, if they shoot you in your head, it doesn't matter. You just
Okay,
drop
so right now, apparently, it's been confirmed on the latest stream that there won't be no safe zones. I'm assuming what he means that you won't be able to spawn at the safe zones. Is that right? Am I right to assume that?
Yeah, I know it was confirmed. That's what I'm saying. I thought that the shelter itself was meant to be the safe zone because I didn't watch the first stream itself.
Yeah,
So,
no, the only
yeah,
safe
you know.
zones are the trading spots.
You
Other
could
than that,
also,
everything is free game.
You can also spawn in sectors, by the way.
Yeah, so you could spawn in D1 or spawn right beside the lake if you want
Yeah.
to.
So what I'm assuming is, like, if you choose, is it like choosing a sector and then choosing these options in those sectors, or is it just is sector, don't you guys dare!
Okay.
No!
Of course we will.
No! Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay. Basically,
for anyone
Yeah,
who
actually-
can answer this, does anyone know if this
Basically,
sector is gonna
I
be
do.
a separate spawn, or if it's gonna be
No, no,
you
no,
choose
no,
a
no.
sector and then you choose
no,
all
no,
those
no,
options?
no.
When you choose a sector,
Yeah.
right? We're
Okay,
not letting go of this, mate.
It doesn't-
Wait. Yakutani needs to say
Once
something.
you choose the
They actually did say it in the stream. Basically, if you choose the sector, it's gonna spawn you into the sector that you currently are. So
Okay.
So it's going to randomly select a spot that you can spawn on
At-
top of.
Okay.
Someplace that's dry, I'm
in
assuming.
the sector that
I
you currently are.
seriously doubt they're going to drop you in the middle of the lake if you choose the lake sector.
No, they said the spawning is completely random. If you decide to spawn at the sector, it's just gonna select the sector you're in, and it's gonna randomly spawn you there. So
Oh, okay.
Oh no,
That makes sense.
I'm just saying I doubt it's going to spawn you in the middle of the water.
I hope it does. You know, just for that, I hope you spawn in the middle of the lake, all of you, all at the same time. And then the skill for swimming is not implemented, so you can't swim well and you drown.
Oh wait, so what sector was that lake in again?
I hate you guys. Okay, so regarding snow is gonna fall on the mountain areas of the game.
Yes, the higher elevations.
Yep. So they will also be developing pills, disinfectants, and other things that will be able to help out with diseases and your health. What do you guys think about that?
Oh yeah, in the stream they also said that not at launch, but sometime during EA, they plan to give you the ability to use your booze that you find as a disinfectant. So that gives you another use for booze that you find.
So I have to quickly point out, everybody who's watching, Kag says hello.
Hey, okay.
There we go. Just felt like throwing that out there for us. Yes, Syntax.
What I found the most interesting during that conversation in the stream itself was that they actually mentioned anti-malaria pills, or actually malaria pills, whatever the hell, you know. So I think that goes well into the bioweapon insects we talked about what, 2 streams ago or something. So that might be the way it's gonna be.
Oh, I
have,
just thought of something interesting
okay.
with the bioweapon aspect. Imagine if they had like killer bee swarm, but to the point where their venom is like 5 times as lethal.
Well, they did say that they would have killer bees as one of the infested pests that would have bioweapons. So.
Oh no, I'm not talking make them infested. I'm talking make them like a viable threat to your character if you walk
They will.
into a swarm of them.
Yeah, they will be
Also, I
at
just
some point of the game.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Also, I just checked the map is actually divided into 4x4 sectors.
Oh, okay.
Hello,
Yeah, 4
Kak.
kilometer by 4 kilometer sectors.
Just a little fun fact to point out, on the throwable items, sentries are not going to be distracted by throwable items.
At all.
Yeah. So,
Oh,
so
yeah.
don't try it.
I think you can misdirect them with explosion and stuff like that, but not with.
I mean, like
rock.
throwable. Let's say throwable bottles or rocks or something like that. You can't distract them with sound. I'm assuming, in the way that you can with puppets.
Yeah, and I think when it comes to bombs and whatnot, I believe they're still going to keep looking in your general direction, and maybe take a step or two back, kind of thing. Just as like a self-defensive mechanism.
Okay. Yeah. Just to quickly.
Just a thought.
Yeah. Going off from moving on that, we all know that voice chat's going to be in the game. It's confirmed to be there at the beginning from what the devs said, which is a plus for me. I love that because, you know, I already explained I like being able to see somebody, and if they're there, beg for my life if I'm not able to fight them and win, or, you know, make them beg for their life because, you know, that's equally as fun. I love the player interaction, and I think voice chat for the game is something that heavily increases how much fun I have while playing these types of games. I don't know about you guys.
And in regards to text chats, I know up to this point, the devs have pretty much stated that they don't want to have text chat in their game at all, whether it's a global text chat or a local text chat. But I've actually got confirmation from the devs that they are working on some kind of text chat. I don't know what kind it will be, but there will be text chat of some kind implemented in the game at some point during early access.
Okay.
I just wanted to point that out there.
One thing I want to put out that I really like about first-person games, and just like when first-person games don't have this, is that you'll be able to see your feet when you look down. I think that's very immersive. I think when you look down and you don't see your feet, it's weird, and it totally takes me out of the immersion.
But one thing they got to fix with the animations during the EA is if you turn while looking down, they should make it so your feet are actually stepping instead of just like sliding on the ground as you spin.
Oh, okay. If that did happen, I agree.
Just for the immersion aspect.
But at the same time, I think...
that's-
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I think that's just something that needs to be polished a bit, and
Yeah, just
I
something
loved
they
when
should
I-
add during the E EA.
And I love when I saw you actually being able to see your feet. It reminded me of the game Chronicles of Riddick: Escape from Butcher Bay. That was the first fucking game that I played that was first person, and you could actually literally see your whole body, not just your feet, you know. And it was an awesome
that
experience.
was
and
such a
it's,
fun game.
yeah, you know what I mean. Then
Oh yeah.
there we go. So seeing this being a thing in Scum, yeah, I was quite happy to see it.
I think that I can forgive a lot of things in
Elements
terms of
in that game were
animations,
freaking phenomenal.
because with the animations, like I said before, everything's in the basic stage when it's going to be at release, so everything will improve over time, obviously. One thing I definitely think is good, Syntax, you're really distracted today. You're like the
He's got
5-year-old
two
that you bring into the candy shop and you're like, don't touch anything. But you know what happens when you do that? They're gonna touch everything.
No. The problem with him is by the time you say that to him, he's already got his arms full of stuff.
No, it's like I look down and I'm talking about the thing, and every time I look up, there's something new that you're doing. Like you play with you blow
It's
up a
not
balloon.
you.
You put the balloon
It's
on your
not
hand.
you.
Then you spread
It's
it
the
over,
balloon.
Then he made a racelet.
A
A
bracelet?
bracelet.
A bracelet.
We have another new word.
I hope
Yeah,
everybody
bracelet.
heard that. It's now a racelet. It has to be referred to that from now on.
Yeah, there we go. Oh my god.
Yeah, I hope there's... Okay, so also, when you look at your character, and I believe Syntax, you were the one who sent the character sheet down, and you showed your 4 symbols for health, energy, I believe the next one was hydration or water, or something like that.
Health, stamina, hydration, and something.
Yep, energy is actually the food, and like what you intake for your body.
Yeah.
Don't everybody talk at once.
Erg.
In Cargo Assault, there's going to be an announcer who says who has control over the cargo. What I saw
Not
from the
a
cargo
announcer. It's John Dick.
Okay. Okay, it's John Dick who's the announcer in it. Hopefully
Okay,
he's the
so
announcer in
guys-
all of them.
While we're talking about John Dick, let's see who can imitate him the best.
I
John Dick out.
don't...
Actually,
I don't know. I'm
no,
not
I
just
think
messing
it's
around.
interesting, but no, that's an interesting challenge, I believe. But I also believe I'm crap at it, so
You know what, just for the hell of
there's
it.
point in it.
Hey, John Dick here. Sound like him at all? Was it close?
John Dick signing out.
Have to be
That was
honest,
actually pretty good.
I have no clue who John Dick is.
Who are you saying what was pretty good?
What the fuck? How do you dare say you do not
What?
know who John Dick is?
John Dick is the person I watched who got me interested in Scum. You get out of here, you heathen! Wait, you can't see it on the screen. Get out of here, you heathen!
Too late.
But literally, John Dick is the guy that was the voice behind every single Scum video you
Oh.
can find on YouTube or Steam.
First,
You know that
I,
guy
need to
explains
ask,
everything.
I need to ask one question. Chaotic Rob, who did you say did good? Was it Syntax or was it me? And also, after you answer, I got another thing.
I'd have to say that Syntex's one sounded very close to the real.
Okay, now second, on the topic
I
of
know,
John
weird,
Dick,
right?
I think that he should stick to the trailers, like doing the trailers, because he does really, really good on the trailers. But I didn't really have as much entertainment watching him in the streams. Like whenever
Yeah,
he was
no,
in
it
it,
definitely
it seemed like I don't want to say like it seemed like he didn't really know what he was doing, but it seemed like he didn't have the exact environment he needed to be able to give his personality in which he had in these trailers.
He didn't have the appeal as he had in the
Yeah,
trailers.
I was a little bit sad and disappointed that it wasn't exactly like that. Or maybe when he does do the stream, maybe he can lead it. You know, maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's because he wasn't leading it.
So I've got one comment here from Squatch in regards to what he saw during the stream the other day. They said you can switch between elevation levels when you're crouched. What do you guys think about that? So you can stay in crouch and increase your elevation just so slightly so that you're just above the eye level for a window kind of thing.
or wall.
Out that way.
Or wall.
I think it's
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
any feature that can increase combat or anything in the game is good as long as it's not superhuman. So it's definitely
It's
something
good
I support.
because
Well,
I
in
think
my
it's
opinion,
actually
that is-
phenomenal to have those options in there.
yeah, that adds to the realism of it.
I mean it's a good thing because you don't have to stick out more of your head that's needed to take aim or see something, you know.
Yeah, the less
Exactly.
you can expose
Minimize
of
your
your body.
visible imprint.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, what do you
Ooh,
think
hammer.
about in terms of the peeking? Say somebody peeks around a corner. Do you think you have to actually look at their head, like where their head would be, to see them, or do you think you just have to look and like, for example, like say you see somebody's head, about their hitbox would be like this, right outside of like say here's the door they're coming out of is the side of the screen. Their head's like this. Now, do you have to actually look at the head itself, or is there like that invisible hitbox, like that invisible box of sensing, where they don't have to directly look at you, they just have to look, their camera has to be facing you for you to pop in, or do you think they have to actually have their sights aimed where that character would be?
But you also have to take into account that if
Let's
you're
say that
hiding
they could,
behind a
like take
wall-
away stealth, like...
Oh no, I'm not even including stealth. I'm just saying, in terms of people being able to notice movement. If you're standing behind a wall and the only part of you that's visible is like 1/4 of your face because it's peeking out of the window, the likelihood of somebody actually spotting you while running past that window, I personally think is going to be like ridiculously low, so it'll be really nice to hide in that aspect.
Okay. So, I mean, going off from that, do you think that would assume that they would have to actually look directly at the person for it to actually render them in?
Well, I
Like,
wouldn't say
at all
directly.
things. Okay.
What I'd say is looking in their general direction. Well, actually, it would entirely depend on how much stealth bonus you get when you're hiding behind a wall.
Well, let's take that away, though. I'm talking about the very basic of it. Do you think that they would have to look directly at him, or not?
Well, that's why I'm saying you have to take the stealth into account, because when you're taking the stealth into account, if they're getting a bonus to their stealth when they're hiding behind a wall, then the chances of that person being rendered in when the other person spots them is actually a hell of a lot lower.
I don't know. I think if you're in focus mode, you should be able to look at him, because everything else is kind of blurred out, you know. But if you're just watching regularly, it's kind
Yeah,
of
I'm talking
hard
with the walking
because
regularly.
watching regularly, there's a shit ton of factors, you know. Not only the skill of the stealth, but then there's also what color of the skin is, what the background behind him is, your
Whether or not
awareness
they're wearing
skill.
camo,
Okay.
Yeah, that as well. So a lot
as
of
well as
factors
if the
go
person they're trying to spot is moving. Because a
Yeah.
moving target is a lot easier to spot than one that's just sitting there and watching.
Okay. Now, moving on from that, unless we have any questions about the game to answer, does anybody have any?
The what?
Any questions from the audience?
Ah.
I don't personally have any, so unless you guys do, I can move on to the next one.
So I don't have a question, but I have a comment from
Okay.
Squatch. He says one thing they added that a lot of shooters don't is the shoulder swap, according to him, which is great. I don't
Yeah.
remember seeing that in the trailer or in the
It happens
stream,
when
but
you lean left, your aiming gets switched to the left shoulder. When you lean right, it gets switched on the right shoulder. So yeah,
Oh, okay.
I noticed
So
that
I
as well.
actually have a comment. Tax is saying that he thinks you can pre-order servers now for Scum. I asked him if he'd be able to confirm it, but right now that might be an interesting subject to actually...
Yeah, you can pre-order the server.
And to
Okay.
verify, yes, they do have pre-orders available for the server rentals.
Okay, then yeah.
That's how we
you
have
can.
the prices already for those.
Sweet. Can you mention the prices once again if you already have?
So
It
the
was-
prices for the servers are, I believe, around $1 to $1.50 American when it comes to individual slots. Now keep in mind that the minimum number of slots is 20, and for some reason they have the availability to have up to 1,000 slots in there. I think it's going to be ridiculous if somebody even tries to rent a 1,000 slot server and see if they can populate it to see how that would actually support that many people.
Well, I think that option might be in there, maybe even for how do you
Basically
call
like
it?
a hint.
No, like stress testing and shit like that, so they
Exactly,
can
Yeah.
yeah,
determine
stress
how
test
much.
it with 1,000 people logged in at once. That would be hilarious.
Okay.
Although it would be a good test of the servers when it comes to the game.
Well, yeah, maybe that's the possibility. So I don't know, game buyers themselves can, when they need, rent out a server of whichever size they need if they literally want to test the stability or whatnot.
Okay, I
A high
also want to
capacity
do
server and have like guest people come in and demo test it kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just
They'll,
maybe.
they'll
to
have test
see-
servers specifically for testing new weapons, testing whenever they implement vehicles, etc. They will have servers that people will be able to come in and then use a separate character, obviously, for this area and be able to play with the new features.
Well, yeah,
think
given that each new
basically-
server has a new character you can make on it.
Basically something like Steam experimental branch.
Yeah. One thing I want to say going on to this is that the awareness skill is obviously going to determine what you hear as well. So when you use focus mode, which is the right click, and then you hold it, you'll actually be able to hear anything that poses a danger to you better and then anything ambient will actually turn down while in focus mode. And then the higher your awareness skill, the better this works. I don't know.
think that's bloody awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
no,
think
that's
that's great
phenomenal.
as well. I actually saw that as they were talking about it, and he just kept clicking the right click and turn the focus on, and I was like, oh my god, this is really great. Like, can you imagine like just sitting there and you're inside of this area and you're like, and then you just focus and you can just hear those footsteps that you normally wouldn't have been able to hear unless you were focusing and putting in that skill. Ugh. I love being able to use headsets and things like that, especially if it's stat-based, to make it feel like your character's developing, like actually training. And then you could be like, okay, my character couldn't have done this at the beginning, but now like I can hear this guy's footsteps coming up those stairs.
Yeah, no, doing those kind of things when you're using like 7.1 surround sound headsets.
Yeah. I'm actually a huge fan when it comes to things. I actually, just as a side fact for this game, I tried turning on spatial sound so that I tried turning on spatial sound. Hey, Chaotic, welcome back.
The audio cut out again.
And I like it on because it will actually simulate if somebody's behind me or not. But just to let you know, everybody who's watching any Syntax's or my stream and my video on YouTube later on, the reason why you see the cameras cut out in my Discord and Twitch videos for brief seconds is because Chaotic Rob keeps leaving.
I'm sorry!
It's not me! I swear! Blame him.
Yeah, usually the mic issues come from Slave, but for
Yeah,
some
just
reason
blame
it's coming
Slave.
from me today.
Don't blame me, it wasn't me!
I'm not blaming you, I'm just saying usually you're the one with the mic issues. I'm not usually the one with these.
That's true.
Oh, we haven't messed around with him a lot lately.
You haven't? Are you kidding me? That's a side subject. Let's move on from
No,
this.
no, no.
So I'm just gonna mention one thing in regards to weapons. In this stream, they introduced all the different guns that are going to be available at launch. If I'm not mistaken, I counted 8 different guns, including 2 pistols and 6 different guns that aren't pistols.
Yeah.
What do you
but
guys
those
think
two-
about that?
But those two pistols were literally the same ones with different skins, weren't they? Like the, what was it? C9 or, no, P9, whatever the hell. And then there was a Chroma P9, let's say. I forgot what the letter was of the...
Oh, okay. I just noticed that there were 2 slots that had pistols and another
Yeah,
six
there
that
were.
had other
One was-
guns.
What's happening?
I was sitting there and I looked in, as on the topic of what was going on, I thought there was a problem with my stream, because Reverie was like, what's, Slave is the issue, and I was like, wait, there's a problem with my stream? And I was like, what's wrong with it? And he was like, oh, he's just going on the joke that you guys are doing, and I was like, God damn it. Now not only are you guys doing it, but now my own
There you go.
viewers are turning on me.
My plan is working.
Oh, shit.
Not you guys too. Okay. Oh god. So going with that, if you guys don't know, you're not gonna lose fame for when you're in the event. You only lose the fame you used to get in the event. After that, when you leave an event, you only gain the fame that you would if you won, and if you lost, you only lose what you spent to go in. Also, if you die with your character in there, it doesn't count. Your character dying inside events doesn't actually kill your character outside of the event. And then...
So you don't have to spend any points to be revived
exactly.
when you're doing it.
And then to add on to that as well, in the events, you're going to have a higher tier equipment. So you won't be taking your own equipment as well. We mentioned this before, I just want to bring it again though. And then when you go back, you're actually going to, as Chaotic Rob mentioned one time, you're actually going to teleport to the event and then teleport out of the event and back. And there's one issue I see here that I wanted to point out. What if when you teleport back, there was somebody who didn't do the event, who's now in that area, and then as you're loading back in or something like that, you get instantly killed or something.
Yeah, but yeah,
Interesting.
First, hello, Plex. Welcome to the stream. And,
Hey,
Hey,
Plex.
Plex.
I don't think that
Is
the
it Plex or
event-
Flex? Because PH is technically
Yeah, it could be either.
Yeah, let's see what he says. But I don't think that the actual events happen on the survival map itself. I think
You
it's
think
actually something like a
But it does.
It does,
because they
though.
said that if you are in the
does?
area where an event is taking place
Mm-hmm.
and you don't get out of the area,
Yep.
you could accidentally get yourself killed and have to do the whole fame cost to respawn
Yep, because we talked about this
because
previously.
of somebody
that-
participating in the event killing you.
Yeah, we talked about this previously in one of our earlier streams, how if you were in an area, you would actually have to leave, or you could choose to stay, but if you stayed, there'd be really no point in staying because you have so much more to lose than the people
Wasn't
who are in
that-
the event.
It's a
that
high risk, no
wasn't-
reward scenario.
Wasn't that a what?
Wasn't that speculations?
Nope,
on our
this
part?
is actually
that was
confirmed. I
confirmed by the
confirmed that.
devs.
Yeah. I
I don't
confirm
like
that.
the idea of that. I really
Why?
don't like the
Because
idea.
you're,
It doesn't make sense because you're trying to keep the events, how should we say, separated a bit from the survival part of the game. You don't have to use fame points to
have,
revive. You can use.
Question. Sorry for interrupting. On the
problem.
topic of what we're talking about, before we go too far out of it, can you do the equivalent of combat logging by entering an event? I actually don't know what combat logging is. Can somebody explain that to me?
Combat logging is when you're in the middle of combat and then you hurriedly either press Alt and F4 or just quit the game in order to avoid getting killed.
That's
fast
actually a
log
good
off.
question because, well, one, I don't know if it works the same way in an event as it does outside. Do you think you'd still have to wait the 45 seconds or 30 seconds it takes?
I think.
Yeah, I
No, I
don't know
think
how
it
long
actually.
the queue time is for when you participate in events.
Yeah.
I think you actually have to wait for enough people to either join in or something like that. So maybe situationally you could use it, but you would really have to aim for the perfect time. And what are the coincidences of the event being nearly full and you needing to combat log?
Okay, and then
Yeah,
I'll
honestly,
back
I
onto
think
what
it's
you
going to
were...
be a situation of how much luck you have with your timing.
Back onto what you were saying about that. I actually am the opposite opinion of you, Syntax. I like this because before I explain why I like it, I actually pause and say the reason why that this would make sense. What they're doing is allowing people to be able to go into the event area. Is it's on this island. It's a TV show. Like it all fits into the lore. It all combines sweetly together. Like this all works and makes sense together. So, I mean, obviously, like, it's gonna suck, like, say you and I are in your favorite town you want to go to, and we take over it, because I know you want to, and that's where we're building our base, that's where we're living, and then an event happens, we could choose to stay, like, while the event's there, and then risk being shot at by the people with heavy gear and all that, or we can leave
But
and then come
no,
back.
no. It doesn't make sense to me, however I look at it, because when you join an event, you get literally instantly teleported to the event location. You are given specific clothing for the event,
Yep.
like in the stream they had full military
Yep.
camo clothing on them, and they can literally choose what at this point I believe is any firearm.
Yep,
That's
it's
present
8
in the
weapons
game.
so far, yeah.
So basically, if there's a fucking location that I like and it's an event location, I have to avoid it. I don't like
Like
it.
I said,
I
it's
get
an
what you
all
mean.
risk,
Should be separate.
no reward scenario if you stay
But there
inside
should-
an event area when the event takes place.
I
But
think-
that shouldn't be the case, in my opinion. If you get teleported there, so if it would be okay, for instance, if there was a event marker, let's say, where you have to go get to by foot, and then have the event happen there. But if people just randomly fucking pop up, teleport, with you only getting some sort of a warning close to
there
the
should
event
be a
happening.
warning.
Well,
Yeah.
my only problem with that is with how big the island is and how long it's going to take you to actually get to the locations.
Yeah,
How
but
much
they-
notice would they have to give you to be able
But-
to
Well,
get to that location?
If we're talking
It's
about
big.
this, going on the subject of this, I understand how you feel, Sidix, because honestly, I'm not saying I love the idea of it, because if I had a place of my own, obviously I wouldn't want to leave it because of an event that's going on.
Yeah.
Like, obviously that could get annoying, I could see that, but at the same time, I can see why, like, how it's implemented, why they chose to implement it, and it does, like, no matter, like, how much I dislike the fact that I'd have to leave, or possibly if I didn't want to leave and I was like, you know what, that's it, this event's going on, but I'm staying here, and I'm going to try to kill these people, like, you could do that, of course, obviously. But the thing here is that we can't forget is that this is a battle TV show. Like this TV show is going on constantly. This is supposed to simulate a world in here where these people are living. Like, of course, we're the players playing these people, but these people are in that world. These events are in that world. This world's supposed to be one thing, and that's why it's like this. That's why it's set up like that. But again, like I said, it'd be great. For instance, let's say if you have, since you obviously have access to the map right now, if they could mark on the map like where the events would take place, so that people who just wanted to avoid it entirely would do that. But at the same time, that could just be also countered with, well, I mean, you could just learn where the events spawn and just avoid it. Like, I think it's just.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I am just gonna add one thing. If you stay inside of an event area and are not an actual participant of an event, there will be drones and whatnot protecting the perimeter, and I believe they will also attack people that are not participants in the event if they start killing the event participants.
Even worse.
I think that would be terrible. I think that'd be a horrible idea. Yeah. Like,
Oh no, I'm just saying what I think is going to go on as a way to keep interference of the event out of the event.
You're gonna disappear. They will not be able to kill you if you're in an event.
Okay, well, is that
No,
confirmed
I'm not saying.
at all, or?
Okay, what I'm saying is if you are in the location of an event while the event is about to go on, and you choose not to leave. So
Yeah,
you're
I
not a
get
participant
that.
in the event, you're just in the location.
Yeah, I
and
get
you
that.
decide to start killing the people that are participating in the event. I believe there's going to be sentries that are going to come and try and kill you
I think that would be
because
horrible.
you're interfering with the event.
That's gonna be a horrible
Yeah.
idea because the same sentry is gonna go and kill the participant.
Well, no, I could just counter it here.
Oh,
Before I give this to you real quick, Syntax, with this, I think that'd be horrible, because one, sure, they could make it to where they could easily make it to where the syntax doesn't, the sentries don't kill the players, but they kill anyone interrupting. But I think that's dumb. I think that's, like, not to be mean, but I think that's a really, really horrible idea, because making this a TV show, like, I already get and understand why they would make it to where if you stay in the area, you have to risk losing your stuff, or anything like that. That's already a big punishment for the people who don't want to do the event. In terms of they don't want to do the event, but they don't want to leave the area, but at the same time, they may not want to leave it so that somebody comes and takes it over while this event's going on. But at the same time, this is obviously a prison island where anything goes and they can kill each other. In this aspect, if the people who are in the event can kill the people out of the event, it should be the same vice versa, because if they're killing people in it, then the people in there should have a right to defend their place if they so choose, or be able to kill those players if they're being fired at without being punished. So I think if that is anything, and if developers are watching this, or anyone else is watching this at all that can directly impact this, don't add that as a feature. That would be horrible. I personally would get really mad at that, and I don't think that's something that would make the game anywhere close to getting any better in terms of adding that. And syntax.
so I'm just going to add
agree.
one thing that Sasquatch is mentioning, or
Okay.
Squatch. In regards to the combat logging, or using the event like a combat log, he says, what if you are stalking somebody and see they disappear going into an event? Could you potentially wait for them to finish and wait for them to get teleported back, and then just shoot them when they
That's
come
one
back?
of the things that I was talking about. That could
So
be applied.
yes, there is that potential as well.
And syntax, so you can
Well,
say it.
So Flex here was saying, didn't you see the name of the town next to the event list? You will know where it's happening in less stream. And
Yep.
also everyone can kill anyone, but people in events don't lose gear.
Yep.
Well,
Oh, okay.
I know you can. I know we can see it in the event menu list, the places, but I still believe it should be separated from the survival aspect of the game.
Yeah, I definitely get that. Like, I think how it is now, how it's set up, with being able to see each other, being able to kill each other while events and the people who aren't in events and all of that, and then being able to see the location of the events, I think that's perfect as is. I don't think they need to add implements to stop players from doing it, because it gives them the freedom, the choice to do this, and it fits with the lore of the story, it fits with the background of the game, it fits with what they're doing with this game. Now, obviously, like we said, with the combat logging, there's some things that I think need to be worked out. But at the same time, like, let's say, for instance, you are in this zone, and the event starts, and now you can see which events are going on, and say it's in the place where we are. theoretically, when fortifying comes out, you could fortify your base and then stay in there. I mean, I'm sure anybody in an event, say Team Deathmatch or Cargo Assault, they're gonna want to win the event, right? So say I'm in the middle of this event, Cargo Assault, my house is like right here, Cargo Assault right here, and then they're spawning from both ends. I just obviously when it comes out, I'd fortify my base, because I personally, if I'm a person in an event, I'm not gonna attack somebody's building while I'm in the event. I'm in the event to win fame. I'm not trying to attack somebody who's not involved with it. Obviously, if they shoot at me, I'll shoot at them, but I don't see a point in really going after players who aren't in the event.
But also, obviously, that's just you. There will be people that will do it just for the fucking fun of it, just because they can, and because they have unlimited ammo, basically, in the event. So why not?
So there is one other thing I'm going to add. When it comes to the event, it would be interesting to see if people use an event to try and scout out bases that are set up in the event area. So, say an event is going on, all the people in the event area leave the area because they don't want to die because of the people participating in the event, and the people that are participating in the event could potentially go around and scout the area so that when they're outside of the event, like when they're done the event, they could come back and know where each of the bases are that are set up in that event area.
I definitely think that's something that would be smart to do, but at the same time, I want to point out that I think it's great to do, and unless you're going into, like, if you really go into an event and you want to win as well, because, like I said, there's going to be people like me as well who go into events to earn fame. They're not going to want to do that. But, of course, there's going to be people who go into an event, like, you know what, I can waste this 10 fame points to just scout out this area. There's going to be people who are going to be able to do that. And I think that's a very smart way of going about it, because even if you go into their area, their base, while doing this and get killed, you lose nothing. You only gain from this. So I think that's a smart way to look at it. And be able to kind of, I don't want to say cheat the system, but you know what I mean, find a workaround where you can do it without actually risking your character and learn as much as you can. I think
just a thought for another use for the events. Yeah, just a thought for another use for the events kind of thing.
Or as facts just said, or devs could just make it so people in events don't see fortification, just base game assets.
Well, that would make sense. What if you've got a house that's fortified, and they go to try and open the door because they want to get a good sniping spot, and the door doesn't open?
Yeah,
so they know it's fortified.
I would say it would be a good idea for an MMO, like for stuff like that. But for this game, I think it would be bad, because I think it would fit better if it was actually in the world. Because, like I said, these events are in the world. They're happening real time in this persistent world. So your bases are going to be there. They don't have to be, no, but the thing is their game is built around it being like that. They're not taking you to separate servers for Team Deathmatch, like or sessions like Call of Duty or something like that. They're taking you to places in the world where you're doing this stuff in the live world.
Yeah, but in the stream they showed you that you're basically being teleported to the location and you are not interfering with other players.
With this, I can actually go on the aspect of they were talking about how certain things are going to add drones to it, to where like when you leave the game, eventually they're going to have it planned to where instead of just disappearing where you are, a drone's actually going to take your character off to simulate, you know, bring brought to wherever they hold the prisoners. And then I'm assuming they're going to do this with that as well. But at the same time, just because you teleport to and from, making it easier, because I actually thought you were going to have to walk to the event, you'd have a timer to go in, but I was wrong.
That's why I hope so.
But
they did not mention the distance of the event that you have to go to enter it, so it can be a bigger area, it can be a whole sector, for example.
Yeah, exactly. So going on that and the fact that like they're just teleporting you to make it easier, like I said, teleport's fine because, you know, it makes it easier. People don't have to actually walk to the damn event, because I think that would take a while. So I'm a fan for it, but at the same time I just thought something different. But in this aspect, I don't think they should block anything out when doing these events. Like this is, and the teleportation's going to be temporary, guys. But pretty much with this, I think that they should keep on doing this as a persistent world, as this is a real world. Everything that's happening is happening in game. And I'll put this as my main argument because I think that's what's making this game what it is. I think this is something that the devs shouldn't block on. Like where we went on the subject of they should listen to community feedback, I think this is one thing that they need to do no matter what, because with this it would separate it from other games. and in the way of everything, every single thing you do, every single event you go in, every single aspect of the game is actually part of that one server, is actually in there, actually in this persistent world, constantly changing, constantly moving across the map, and then people are constantly going to be doing things, making this feel as if it really is a island where people are battling for fame, battling for their life, and you can actually watch these fights from a distance without actually joining them if you wanted. It makes this world feel a little bit more alive, and a little bit more with what they're describing. They want the game to be.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Though I definitely, to put it on another point on Kakadani, I definitely believe that it would be in some, like, there is a part of me that would like my base to be protected if an event stops and happens in my area. But at the same time, I think they have to judge, like, should we take out that and put in there? But if they do that, then they're already making it move farther away than what the game's supposed to be. Because like they said, they wanted it to be like how I previously explained. If they start taking it and making sure your bases can't be seen in these events, or you can't be killed, like if you're not in the event, or etc., adding anything to make it any different, it's changing in a way that not only do I personally not like, but then what they've previously explained the game is going to be.
Well, with the exception of adding the sentries to guard the event areas.
I hate that idea.
It adds to the persistence of the world.
I agree that idea is horrible.
Yeah, because can you imagine, like, what if you are that person? Like, what if I sit there like, you know what? I got nothing to lose. Those events people, I'm gonna kill as many as I can. And I'm like, play some emotional background music for me, K-Type. And then all of a sudden I just get, like, shot in the dome by a sentry that's just out there, like... I mean, you know, actually, now that I think of it, I'm going to be fair, and I'm going to think, I just thought of this for Chaotic. What if everybody in the server's like, you know what, 13 people decided to join that match? Or this whole clan or team went in there? Let's fuck them up. And then, like, 20 people go and attack the event people. And then just keep, like, spawn camping the people in the event. I guess there could... I mean, what if they do that? I don't think people will, but there is chances where some clans might. And what would happen then?
The funny thing with that, in one of the previous streams that we've done, you mentioned them having something called rebellion points.
Yes, I think it's called rebellion.
It could be a situation where if you interfere with an event, like what we're describing right now...
Oh, you get rebel points.
You could get rebellion points.
Okay.
Because you're rebelling against Tech 1.
Never mind, because we already went over the fact that if you do something that the audience doesn't like or something, because this would be directly in stopping their enjoyment, they might be able to send like a sentry after you, or a couple, or puppets, etc.
Exactly.
You know,
yes.
Yeah, it fit with the lore of the game.
That's why I'm thinking.
Yeah,
yes,
but
exactly.
yeah, but that also works if you get too much fame. If you basically have the highest fame on the server, you gotta be targeted by everyone. Pretty much. So that works both ways.
I just thought of something hilarious. Imagine if an event is going on, a non-participant is in the area, just to take out the highest famed player on the game.
Okay,
or on the
and
event.
1 second, Syntax, you wanted to say something, right?
So Flex just said, here's an idea. What if you get extra fame if you kill somebody in the event? Would you consider that balanced?
If somebody did what, sorry?
So, for instance, you are not part of the event.
Yeah.
And
You're
event
in the
is
location,
happening.
but you're not participating.
Yeah, and you actually manage to kill a few participants of the event. That you get extra points for not being, for risking it. You get something more in return. But I still don't like the idea because...
I don't know, I'm 50-50.
Kind of like a mini event inside of the event.
Well, I actually like the idea. It's a bit more balanced, as he says, because you have everything to lose, while the people in the event don't have anything to lose. So, I think it would be nice, but...
prefer the concept of the sentries going after the person that's not supposed to be in the event.
I hate that.
If the sentries... well, think about it this way. Think about it this way. If you've got a building that's fortified, you're inside of an event... Yeah, bull. I'm going to say bull to that, man. But if you're inside of the event and you've got a fortified building, funny.
What the hell's happening?
Hear you saying sometimes. But when the event is happening and you're inside of your little fortified house, the sentries aren't going to be able to get to you. All it means is that you're not going to be able to move around while the event goes on. You're going to be stuck in your location.
So
Yeah.
what if you were, for some reason, late? You wanted to get some stuff so it doesn't get destroyed or
What
whatever.
if you
the
wanted to
hell?
leave your shelter? What if you were like, you know what?
And
I want to go.
You'd have to wait until the event was done, because the sentries would hunt you down. Especially
And
if
so
you're
would any-
actually taking out the participants.
Yeah,
and
still
so with
think-
any player that randomly comes across of you in the bloody fortified house or whatnot, because the fortifications will go down pretty easily since the participation bloody hell.
Participants.
Participant.
Okay, I got
Yeah,
this. I
because
got
the-
this.
Because the participants have basically unlimited bullets and can just shoot a shit ton of holes.
So I actually have a question. This is my own question, but I'm still doing the two. Now, all in favor of Chaotic not being able to suggest anything for the game?
I second it. I second it.
Okay, seconded. Can we get a third?
It was my plan to put a suggestion every day.
you are banned from the suggestions. Don't talk to the devs, Chaotic, please. Just don't.
Oh, why?
I'm not making suggestions. I'm making what I think is going to be actually happening in the game.
You are voted out of this. You don't get to say this anymore. You've been voted off this island. Take your marshmallow and get the hell out.
I shall enjoy my marshmallow.
Okay, so I actually have like the 8 weapons that are confirmed for the game that I can actually go over and tell everybody if you guys want to hear them.
Yeah, that'd be a good
Okay.
idea.
Okay, it's going to be the MP5, the AK-47, my personal favorite in any game, the AKM. Don't ask me why, I just love it. The 490 Tech 1, which is the Tech 1's version of a shotgun. The M1, the SVD, the M9, the Chrome M9. These are all the confirmed ones.
I don't like it.
You don't like the gun lineup?
I mean, it's good, but I never really loved too much the AKs. I was always more for the American variations of them, like the M14 and whatnot.
Okay.
Oh, my
So-
personal preference goes to the P90. Be awesome if they had that
And-
in the game.
Yeah, that also, but I'm abhorred. I am disappointed. I don't know how else to say it, that they did not include the Hrvatski Samokres. I believe it's, how's it called in America?
VHS.
Extreme Duty or some shit?
Extreme Beauty? Is that what you said?
What? Duty.
Oh! I think they were called
Beauty,
Extreme
like,
Beauty. I was like, what? That's a gun?
Wait. So are we talking like a 50 caliber gun or something?
No.
It's a authentic Croatian sidearm.
Oh, so it's a pistol.
And-
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
pistol.
pretty much the whole U.S. Army and police use it, but the details.
But still, it's one of ours, and I'm quite
Uh,
surprised and disappointed not to see it in the game.
I actually
for
have a
God's
question, guys, from Frequently Plays. How long do you think it will be until they implement new weapons? And is an M4 confirmed? As far as the M4 goes, I don't know if it's confirmed or not. I do think that we will eventually have it in the game. And I don't know how long it take before they start implementing new guns. I think it's just going to be an overtime thing. They're going to do one at a time or maybe a few at a time. I think it's going to be more close to one at a time because I think they want to perfect each gun as they come out and then work on what they currently have, improve the animations of everything, and then as the guns come out, release it at a basic stage, then implement the better animations and etc. I think they're going to move like that, like in a step-by-step process right now. And, oh, that's gun you're talking about, okay.
Yeah, the
Oh,
AKS
okay.
2000. Okay. So yeah, that's just like a standard 20 bullet pistol. Standard 20 to 30 bullet pistol.
Chill, dude. They'll add more weapons as dev continues.
But yeah, as Flex said, the HS 2000 most likely licensing issues, but still, it's not hard to make a, shall we say, rip-off, change the name a bit, and
Oh,
there you
yeah.
have it.
You know how they do
You
in
know,
like
so I'm-
PUBG with Pepsi, and they call it Plepsi.
Yeah, they could make a
I
skin
don't
for it.
know
put the
that
stats
because,
in
No,
there, and
no,
just call it
that's what they
something
do.
else.
That's why I was bringing it up.
But yeah, basically something like that could be
Okay.
easier done. So.
I
but
definitely
still,
hope that.
kind of.
I don't know about you guys, but for me, when the base game is fully finished, like when it's actually full release, I hope there's at least like around 20 weapons, gun-wise.
I suspect there's gonna be a bit more weapons.
Oh yeah, I definitely think there's going to be more,
Oh.
but I don't want to be
Oh.
greedy
Ah.
and say like 35, 40, and then there'd be
Don't
like
forget,
15,
they are going to be adding in explosive weapons as well, like grenade launchers and rocket launchers at some point.
Do you think they're gonna have any, let's say, blast shields? Maybe.
Oh, that'd be interesting. Riot shields?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be quite interesting.
Do you think it'll be
So you
implemented the
can-
way you think, or?
What? So you can combat the sentry bots?
No, well, that, or like, say somebody throws a grenade or shoots a grenade launcher at you, do you think that you'd be able to use it to effectively, you know,
I think it would be quite fun to.
Although, if they do that, they have to implement some kind of system where it's got a heavy knockback. Because if a grenade is going off on the other side of a riot shield from where you're standing, you should still get thrown back.
Yeah.
Even though you're not taking any damage, you
Oh.
should still get thrown back and get stunned. because
Actually,
of
what
the
do you guys
sound.
think about being able to pick the grenade up and throwing it back?
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Do you think it should be implemented or not be implemented? This is for you guys in the chat as
should.
well.
It should be
It should be-
implemented because it
depends.
adds to the realism.
It depends. Basically, if you decide to hold the grenade a little
You
bit
can
longer
cook it.
before you throw it, so it basically, let's say if it drops on 3 seconds left near you, you have no possible time of
Yeah,
picking it up and
you'll
throw it
die.
in effectively.
Well, yes, it gives you the risk.
Yeah, but
But
do you
if
think you
you
should get the
get the
chance to
timing
be able to
right,
do it?
Yeah, I think the chance should be there.
It should be.
I
I mean,
think
it
it should be.
doesn't cost that. It doesn't cost you anything to try to throw it back if it's right beneath your fucking feet, you know, and you simply cannot escape the blast radius. So why not?
What do you think
It adds
about
to the
adding
realism, so it should be in there.
like maybe in the future, because since this is in the future, obviously 20 years at least, we could still come up with other things. What do you think about adding different types of grenades, like Semtex, for example?
What?
Oh,
how
it'd
do you mean?
be interesting if they had like an
Who's the
electroshock.
Croatian in this stream?
That's it.
Yeah, it's
Two of
definitely
us.
Syntax.
Syntax.
Boom. That way.
Don't worry, he's married.
Me?
In
Don't
mine,
worry,
he's the
he's
one on the
married.
bottom left.
Kako
jeez.
Dane is also a Croatian as well.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, okay. So both of the left ones on mine.
Yeah, but how do you mean different kinds? You mean something that's not
Like maybe just
invented yet
a
in
very
real life,
no,
or-
no. It could be something that's not invented, or it could be something that is invented. Just have a variety of types, like flashbangs, regular grenades,
Oh,
Semtex
yeah,
grenades.
that should definitely be.
Do you think they should also add claymores, C4, to like how,
Yes,
like,
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
I definitely
Please,
want
give me
C4 and
C4.
claymore.
Well, you would basically be using C4 claymores and
But if they do add C4, they should give you the ability to mold it, so that you could use it to be able to break through fortifications as well.
well, yeah. But what I wanted to say, claymores and C4 would probably also basically be used for traps mostly,
Yeah.
but
Or like for destroying an enemy's
fortifications
vehicle.
as well.
Like maybe.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, the
as well.
claymores would be for
And
that. C4 for
here's
that
a-
as well.
Here's a good point, a very fucking good point
Yeah.
by Flex.
Okay.
You guys only talk about guns, but they've stated multiple times that guns and ammo will be hard to find. I think most of the battles will be with primitive weapons.
Yep,
I think he has
spears,
a
rocks.
great
Oh,
point.
no, we don't disagree with you at
Knives,
all.
bows, like I mean, we have talked about this before. It's just recently. The reason why we talked about guns again is because before we talked about what we thought there would be. English is sucking right now, and then
And
now
now
we're
we've got a
talking about ones that were
confirmation.
confirmed and what we thought about the confirmed weapons. I
Yes.
definitely know that most of the time, about let's say 90% is going to be spent with melee weapons in terms of baseball bats. That's confirmed. Pitchfork. Regular spears that you can craft through wood. You're going to be able to pick up rocks. I know that Syntax said it'd be pretty cool if we could use slingshots.
Oh, one thing that'd be
Yeah.
nice is if they added a like a fishing spear, where
As
it's
long as
split
they
into
add the
4 ends
option to
at the one
hack
tip.
the bots. I'm happy. Oh, okay. What do you think about that,
That's
guys?
like-
Hacking the sentries.
That's gonna be
Oh,
interesting.
That's isn't it said it's gonna be in the game eventually already?
They did
Ah,
mention
but with
something, but they never
hacking, they
confirmed
didn't say what-
directly, did they? Because I know they hinted
With
at
the
something.
hacking, with the hacking, they have said that you can
Yeah.
hack a whole bunch of things on the island, but they haven't stated what you can do with the hacks.
Yeah. They did
For
mention
example,
before.
I would want to hack a BCU and make the puppies follow me around and act as like bodyguards.
They actually did mention that in the
I would
late
wanna do
stream.
that.
If you didn't listen too well, they actually mentioned like later on they're gonna implement something, and then they were like, well, I mean, you'll be able to hack, and then maybe you'll be able to hack them and use them as sentries or use them as a scout or something. So it's all maybes that they said when they were talking about this. But I mean, they're talking about it. They're
Yeah, so no
saying it,
confirmation
so
yet.
there's no confirmation about what you'll exactly be able to do. But at the same time, I think it'd be an interesting thing. Like maybe like you have the puppets follow you, and maybe you could like depending on your intelligence, maybe this goes off that too. Like you can only have a certain amount of things follow you based off your intelligence as well.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
And they
Well,
kind of had
actually,
their
I
own
think
AI.
it might be related to your hacking skill instead.
I think it would
Like
be
if
a
you've got a
combination
high
of
enough
both.
hacking skill, the more things you can hack at once, kind of thing.
Or just
Yeah,
hack the
definitely.
small flying bots to be able to fly around and spot on people or a scout. They did say something like that. Ningenesis says, "Oh, hacking. I don't know. I honestly think hacking won't be too extreme. Like hacking to disable sentries, or for scouting. Not like your own personal hacked army, like a hacked puppet or sentry per time." I definitely agree with that. I think it's not going to be to the extreme where you could walk around with a sentry following you wherever you go. I think when it comes to the hacking, I think it's going to be basically just you disable something, or you disrupt something, or like I think it's going to be very basic things, Or maybe like you could temporarily make the sentry bot see you as an ally instead of an enemy.
Well, yeah, I
Also-
could see them adding that.
And also here is confirmation. Thanks, Flex. So Bunny said puppets will be hackable once we implement the hacking programming skill in the game during the early access period. I
nice.
think that covers that.
Kind of yes, kind of no. It doesn't really cover what you can do once you hack the puppet.
Yeah.
For example,
Yeah,
is the
but
puppet
it's
just going to see you
confirmed.
as an ally, or is the puppet going to be something you can control and designate to guard a specific area, or to guard you specifically and follow you around, just like with the pet
Well,
mechanics?
personally, I think it's gonna be basically just like they talked about with animal handling. I think it's called now, right?
Yep. It's
They
animal handling
mentioned
now.
something. So I think that literally whatever they mentioned about animal handling, whatever you're gonna be able to do with animals, it's basically the same with puppies and hacking.
I definitely
But
think
positive.
it's going to be
That
similar
would be
to that, yeah.
interesting if you could actually have a puppy follow you around.
But the thing
Yeah,
is
but-
like with animal handling, the pets will follow you though.
Yes,
Yeah, but-
exactly, and that's what
yeah,
I'm
but
saying.
they
It'd be
said
interesting if
that-
you could do that with the puppies as well.
Yeah, but they said it's gonna be much harder for you to make the puppies follow you instead of the pets. So
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because
I
of-
understand that. You're probably going to
Honestly,
need a hacking.
I think if the puppies are gonna
pants.
Other-
follow
other-
you, I think if the puppies are gonna follow you, it's gonna be set up kind of like this, where you get them, now they treat you as an ally, and they kind of follow you around. I think it's gonna be based on your programming, hacking, or your intelligence to debate how many you can have, kind of like a clan or team system. And then after that, they're just gonna follow. When an enemy appears, you could maybe possibly at the most get a basic command of attack, don't attack. Or maybe, for example, let's use Ark Survival Evolved, for example. You could put them on a passive mode where they don't attack anything, and they're just kind of there. Or you could put them on aggressive where they attack everything every player that comes in sight, maybe. And then,
With an exception list where you could add so
maybe,
many players as
and
your
then it doesn't
exception.
attack your teammates.
people on
And
your
then,
team.
or maybe
Exactly,
it'll
yeah.
just sit there and it'll just do whatever it wants while following you. And yeah, Syntax?
I just want to say you also have to, before you even think about hacking puppies or taming animals, you also have to keep in mind that they probably won't have a high, at least the puppies won't, a high stealth score. So more than less, they will probably give up your position.
Zoth is
So-
saying,
Hold on, I'm not saying about giving out positions. I'm saying if you get yourself a really big buff puppy and you use it as a bodyguard following you around.
yeah, yeah,
was trying to make it obvious slowly.
Something like me, where I'm going high in intel, I think that would actually come in very handy.
Sure, you can consider it that way, but you also have to have in mind that they showed actually in the stream how easy it is for you to die. So if they just shoot you, I think that just gets disabled.
Okay, so going on to what the comments were saying. Zoth says, wouldn't mind if they added cameras that you can place, and a combination on range triggered explosives would be cool to make traps around your base. And then also, Genesis says, to disable them temporarily, like a chance of something
for
that is
hacking
far
to
away.
disable them.
Yeah.
I'm just going to add one thing that Squatch mentioned. It's not quite related to what we're talking about,
Okay.
but he's saying there should be a dive mechanic where you can dive down to the bottom of a lake or whatnot.
Okay. Yeah, I don't mind that. Sounds like a good feature.
Just something he said.
Oh,
I wanted
okay.
to put it out here.
Anybody got any questions that we can currently go through?
Yeah, John Alex asked, did they ever show fortifications in the dev streams? No, they have
Nope.
not, and I believe they will not be at the
It will
very
not be at
beginning.
release. It will be
So-
later on in the EA phase.
And I think same thing goes with traps, if I'm not mistaken.
I have no confirmation on that. I can't confirm or deny that at all. But I know you will be able to cycle between firing modes. It's a gun game. You should be
yeah,
able
but
to...
there's one thing I'm concerned
Yeah.
about firing modes. They mentioned single shot and automatic shot.
Yeah, there was no burst.
Yeah, that's my problem, because burst fire is my favorite kind of firing. It's controllable enough, and yet, it's 3 rounds after all.
I think burst fire might depend entirely on the individual gun you choose.
Well,
Because
yeah,
some guns don't have burst fire available.
I know, but it was never
It's just-
mentioned.
Yeah, they
That's my
just
problem.
they were talking about it before I go into what I'm gonna read the comments.
I mean, they didn't even have automatic fire weapons, so they couldn't use the weapons they handled as a example. They were
Yeah.
speaking generally, and
Yeah.
they didn't never mention it.
They were literally
That's
like,
the problem.
yeah, you'll be able to cycle through different firing modes. You'll be able to cycle through single, and you'll be able to cycle through full auto. They didn't say, and also with some weapons, burst. Like, they never mentioned
Oh,
any of
I've
that.
actually got an addition for what Sasquatch said. Apparently, it's not the diving into a lake kind of thing, but more of a duck and cover situation when you're diving away from a grenade that's going off.
Oh. I don't know about that. I think it's
But-
going to be labeled to just sprinting away.
But I believe that one of the devs actually messed up when they were trying to say you can cycle through a X amount of fire modes. I think he actually wanted to start saying 3 modes, but then he corrected himself, if I'm not mistaken. I will have to rewatch the stream again, but I'm pretty sure he did.
Okay, I have a comment and a question. First, I'll do the comment because I was first. And this is Rocky saying, I want to see a brutal head stomp animation that needs to be done a few times to kill someone. And then Zoth says, will there be a crafted weapon mods like homemade silencers and scopes, weighting of weapons to reduce recoil and so on? I can actually answer the question to a certain degree. I don't know exactly everything that's going to go with the weapon modifications, but there will be a weapon modification part of this game. And I did remember reading about how you might be able to use certain cans or bottles as silencers. But also all of this was never directly confirmed. It was just a reply that devs made in the forum page on Scum to another person asking this question. So for now, let's assume that there will be eventually, but I don't think there's going to be at launch. At launch, I think it's just going to be the base 8 guns that we mentioned, and that's the ones you're going to be able to find in the world. And then after that, they'll start implementing the weapon modifications, the newer weapons, different things, as well as vehicles and boats. And yeah, Syntax?
But wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Yeah.
Yeah, we mentioned 8 weapons that we have in your notes.
8
But
guns.
Guns,
Now-
guns.
Yeah,
Guns,
guns.
yeah.
Guns,
Yeah,
because if you say
guns.
weapons, you have to include bows and whatnot. in
Yeah,
that too.
sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
But we already have 9 confirmed. The spotter 22 or whatnot that was used before the event itself. Isn't
Well, I did
Oh
confirm
yeah,
it
and the
earlier.
survival side.
I did confirm earlier that when we talked about it before this came out, that they did say there was supposed to be around 15 guns at release. They did say that earlier. But then when they showed the cargo assault, there was only 8 guns in the event. And they said that when you go into events, you'll be able to use them all. So I'm assuming that maybe either the 15 guns aren't fully implemented yet, and it's only 8 of them that are implemented now, or there's 15 guns and they just showed the 8 for the certain event. Like maybe different events will allow you to use different guns.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that there were only 8 in the event, while we actually saw 9 of them. And also, from Jonah Leaks, we also have a question. What about player-made loot caches, chests, stashes, something that can be your persistent loot container in the woods? This is actually something that they said in the last stream itself. You can create a wooden box, I believe it was, and then you can stash it somewhere in the woods or basically wherever.
I don't know about if you could stash the wooden box somewhere in the woods. I know you can bury your gear. I just don't know if you can take the box and bury it. That'd be cool. But also on this, eventually
I think you can.
Oh, that'd be great. Eventually on this,
Oh yeah, they did say the chests you can pretty much put wherever you want, kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. And then I know that eventually you'll, as your crafting skill or whatever it is, allows you to craft different tiers of it. So it'll be strong, more durable, and then you'll be able to store more stuff.
And also you can store in pre-made stashes or containers, however you want to call them, in buildings as well. And is there anything else we can use?
As example? You already talked about being able to store it in any container in the game, right? Except for it's susceptible to be looted by any player, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, then other than burying and the storage chests you get, and then the containers, there may, and this isn't confirmed at all, there may be some way that you can store stuff maybe in the safe zones, like aka some sort of bank or something, or a storage system that they have. Because that you will be able to use your fame points to get stuff in there and talk to players safely, and yes.
Boys, I have enough gas.
Damn it! Okay.
It cut out, man. The only thing I can do is to end the call and come back.
It's just a brief moment of us being, flashed.
And also, boys, I have a good idea.
Yeah.
What we should roleplay as.
Yeah? Oh god.
Bankers.
God.
Okay, fine. But on this...
Okay, so you're collecting the currency, okay? You are the teller.
Yeah.
If we're being bankers, you are going to be the teller.
Everybody hold up. Rocky,
think...
see you later. Thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed the stream.
No problem. Have a good night, Rocky.
Enjoy, man.
Okay, and then I'm going to throw out one fact, because we're almost out of the list. I believe we only have like 1 to 2 things left. And that's quickly that you can lean left and right in the game, otherwise known as the wiggle in certain games, as well as the max stamina, health, and skill. Your max stamina, health, and skills will all decrease if you're not properly fed or hydrated. So that means your max health and stamina can only go to a certain point, and it can only increase if you properly are fed or hydrated. Yeah.
In other words, if you do the micromanaging portion of the metabolism.
No, you just need to make sure that you're actually fed correctly or hungry. You don't actually have to micromanage. You just need to know if you're fed or not, or you're not thirsty.
When you say fed correctly, to me that means you're eating the right thing.
No. To put it in a way to understand,
that you aren't starving or dehydrated.
If you're hungry or dehydrated, like the more hungry you get, the more dehydrated you get, your max stats will go down, as well as your skills. You'll start getting debuffs. Yeah.
Just to quickly add to the leaning left and right, that is also how you switch shoulder view. And also we have another question from Jonalix. And how do servers work? Are they wiped like DayZ, daily, weekly? How loot respawn works?
Okay, servers will be wiped for the people who get early access to the game before the actual early access when they come into it. So they get their 4 days and then it gets wiped. Then after that, there's no confirmation of wipes at all. They may or may not do it. They have not confirmed whether they will do it or not. But it really depends. They may do it, but they're not really thinking of doing it right now unless it's required. And then also, the second part of the question you asked about that, well, could you repeat that?
How does loot respawn work?
Loot respawn works, I'm going to assume it's just like any other survival game where it has a timer and it's set in different areas. But they will be adding it to the point where you can actually loot containers for loot, and you'll be able to actually pick up loot that's on the ground or on a table somewhere.
And when it
think
comes to
for the
respawn,
game-
I have a thing. It's probably going to be a proximity thing, where if you're in the area, it's not going to respawn until you leave the area a certain number of feet, kind of thing.
Meters.
Yeah.
Meters, feet, whatever.
Just joking. But I believe that the server wipes are actually gonna be as frequent as the updates are.
Yeah, but
Because
they
as-
didn't. They actually dodged the question. Actually,
Yeah.
they didn't want to answer how fast things are gonna respawn.
One thing I
Yeah.
want to put out, fact-wise, because this will actually end all the facts we have for this dev stream that we watched, is that the bigger the better tier fireplace that you have will determine how hot it is, how well it burns, and how fast things dry near it. And obviously the easiest way to dry stuff is to take it off and put it closer to the fire. This is something I just wanted to throw out just so that everybody would know, and that medical skills would be expanded on as well. This includes the pills, disinfectants, etc. And let me just do a quick Popeye. I think we're good this. Oh, if you didn't know, and if you weren't really paying attention too much, when you go to throw something, it actually shows you a little aimer for your range to where it's gonna go. Like, I don't know what it is, like a directional. I don't really like that, but
Neither do
it's
I.
there.
Yeah, it's an aim assist, is what that is.
There we go. Thank you.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was doing there. Oh yeah, and then the last fact I have for this is that you're going to be able to go prone as well as minimize any of the windows in your metabolism window. So it doesn't have, you don't have to have them all open.
Oh, nice.
And all bullets are tracers.
good to have.
For now.
What?
All bullets
For
are
now.
tracers. Well, yeah, for now. And I got a
Barely
comment.
understood
Yeah,
that.
they plan to implement more different bullet types, and they will all have different effects.
Yes, but
Like,
for
there'll
now
be a
they're
tracer
tracers.
round, They might have like a stun round, and stuff like that.
And I got a comment. Zoth says they did say that if you want to min-max your character, you will need to micromanage. Other than that, you don't need to pay much more mind to the eating and drinking, other than keep your character fed and hydrated. And I agree. I think that if you don't micromanage, I don't know if it's going to be possible to max your character out, because I think in order to max your character out, you're going to need to micromanage. But at the same point, I don't really think that maxing your character out is really required. Like, sure, if you want to be the hardcore person and you want to do that, you can. It's something you're easily going to be able to do. But I think casual players and just people who are interested in just playing the game for the world it is are going to be more interested in just the basic dynamics of how you play your character and seeing it change over time like that, versus having to go so hardcore and try to perfect their character. Because, as I've said in a previous stream, even if you have a max character with all stats, it doesn't really give you the max advantage. Like, your character will be healthier, your character will be able to sprint longer, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be automatically killing people. Anything else, Sicilian, okay? It happens, I talk with my hands.
What the fuck?
What is wrong
I'm
with your
going
head?
bald.
You're not
I'm
going
going
bald,
bald,
you
mate.
just domed yourself.
No. His camera doesn't like him. It's slowly phasing him out of the
Wait,
picture.
turn a little bit left and look at the screen. Oh god.
I'm bald.
Okay, Jesus.
Your hair!
If you are a nerd like me, you'll want to mid-max, not because it would help me that much, but just because I can. And of course, you can.
Yes, the completionist is so much fun with this game.
Now, I have to point out that all of the facts I have gathered that were new, that I did not have previously or thought were able to be mentioned, are actually gone. We've been through them all. So now it's just basically whatever we want to talk about, questions we want to answer about either the stream or the game in general. Yes.
I'm just gonna do a little facepalm that they did in this stream. What did you think about the prison? And the fact that they made it look almost exactly identical to the one that they had in
the
The
trailer?
Walking Dead.
Oh, okay.
No,
You know, I was
not in
thinking
the
that
trailer,
too, dude.
The Walking Dead one. It
High
looks
five.
exactly like the prison in The Walking Dead.
There you go. I high-fived you because I sat there and I looked at it and I was like, as he was walking into the prison, I was like, this reminds me of The Walking Dead.
Exactly, it looks just like
I don't
it.
know if it's the exact like prison. I'm gonna assume it's not. But I did.
Well, I
get
doubt
huge
it's a
vibes on
one-to-one
that.
replica,
No,
but
I mean,
it does look very similar to it.
I did get Walking Dead vibes from it, definitely. Syntax, you were like doing a point thing, and it looked like you were trying to talk, but
I was
We
doing
all
no, I
paused.
was doing like, what the fuck are you guys talking about?
oh, you don't know what the
Oh,
Walking
so you
Dead
haven't
is?
seen Walking Dead?
Nope.
Okay, to sum it up, it's a zombie apocalypse TV series. There we
I
go.
mean, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know.
Oh, okay,
But
okay. Well, yeah, it's
What's
pretty
so
much
special about that
this
prison in
prison when
the
you walk
series?
into it, like the gates, how it opens, and like how you walk up to it and the direction you have to turn. It's like almost an exact same thing for this one. Obviously, there's a lot of changes that I
Okay.
saw. It's not it's not the exact prison. It's not styled the exact same way, but it felt like The Walking Dead. Like I saw it and I was like, all I got was Walking Dead vibes, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, no, a lot of the prison reminded me of The Walking Dead. Like with the layout that they chose for it and everything, like where they have the catwalk, where they have the towers. It looks almost identical to the one that you see in The
I
Walking
wouldn't say
Dead.
it's identical. It's definitely different.
I said almost identical.
Well, you do have to.
It's very
have-
similar.
Well,
There
you
we
have
go.
to think about it because, well, I think about taking into consideration that most prisons are, well, similar because they have to have the same type of protection, so they cannot escape that easily, and they're probably trying to incorporate what's the most effective thing.
Zoth actually commented and said the devs said that they would release the game early to content creators to stream. Do we know anybody? I currently don't know anybody who has access to the early streaming. I know
Yeah, no,
as of right
same here.
now,
I
I
do.
don't have it.
I do.
Oh, actually, no, I
They've
do
already
know one.
started
Never
getting them
mind.
out?
Never mind, I got one. Okay, go. You go and I'll tell the one I know.
The devs.
Aha! Aha! But I actually do have somebody
Wow.
who's a YouTube content creator. So for you guys, I don't really want to advertise another channel because
Yeah, just
advertise mine! Check my YouTube channel, subscribe to me. But anyways, his name's Eroctic. I'll actually type his name out for you guys.
You know
There you
his
go.
creation.
I do. That's where I like saw some information. Not really a lot,
I hate
but I
that
did
guy.
see some. Really?
Yeah, because he can grow a more fabulous beard than me.
Oh.
Cool.
You should be jealous of this. Oh yeah. You can't see it, but it's blonde peach fuzz.
No,
Fit
I'm
is
serious though. Eroctic, he is a streamer from Croatia that's gonna be covering Scum.
Yeah.
But seriously though, he has a fucking awesome beard. I
I
wish
don't
I could
know.
grow it so much.
To be honest, I don't know how much he's going to be covering Scum. Like, I definitely know he'll be playing it, but I don't know if he'll
It's-
actually be covering it.
Okay,
I'm
so
covering.
just to
I'm
cl-
talking about the
clarify.
stream itself. I've been at the stream. I've asked, and it's gonna be his primary game for a while.
Okay.
Just to clarify, what makes you guys
That's
think
also-
or
One sec, he
that
said
he has one of the free copies?
he mentioned in his stream that he did, but I don't know if it's
okay.
confirmed or not. But obviously he said that he did get it. But anyways, not sure if I
I'm just
misunderstand.
wondering,
That's also quite possible.
Well,
What do
the
you mean,
reason why I'm
Zoth? You're gonna have to
asking is
repeat
'cause
what you're
I'm-
saying. Explain
'cause
it
what
in a
I'm-
different way.
Because the reason why I'm asking is I'm looking on Erotic's channel at the moment, and I'm not seeing anything about Scum. There's a lot of escape
Yeah, I
from
mean, it
Carbot,
does.
but nothing about Scum
He does.
when
If
it
you
comes
look,
to his
just type in
previous videos.
Scum Eroctic, you'll see he has 4 videos for it right now released, about a month apart away. Like, some of them are in the same month, some of them are separate months. But if you watch them, like, obviously do it on another time when we're not streaming, of course. In one of them, I think it's the last one, he actually mentions that he actually has access to it early, and that he will also be renting his own servers as well. But you can watch it another time, and you'll be able to listen to him go on about it. Everything he's covered, though, just to let everybody know here, we've gone over that and much more over our streams, and again, the series that I do. Everything he does and way, way more has been covered.
How about what's your guys' time frame
What do you-
after? Do you have anything planned in the next hour or two or whatnot?
Oh, well, before that, 1 second. About the early release, Zoth, for content creators, pretty much, I think that was only labeled for people who they wanted to give it away, the devs wanted to give it away, so that they could advertise. And then for the people who joined the contest to where they made traps and whoever won that ended up getting a free key. Though I don't know if the results for that have been given out yet or not. And other than that,
No, when it
nobody
comes,
else.
when it comes,
Other than that,
when
nobody
it
else.
comes to
Other than
When it
that,
comes-
nobody gets an early access key. Except for
When
the
it
people
comes to Reddit,
I will kill you. Except for the people who joined the contest, or the people they wanted to give it away for free to advertise the game. Nobody else can get an early access key, and they're supposed to get it around 4 days of access before everybody else gets their early access. And then their characters and everything get wiped, so that they don't get a fresh start. The only thing they gain is, let's say, familiarity with the island, since they had 4 days. Now, chaotic. Clearly, you have something to say.
yes, with the Reddit contest, it is not an early access key. The key that you would get if you win that contest is one that will be purchased at the time the game is released and given out by the moderators of Reddit, of the Scum Reddit, not by the devs themselves.
And yes, Soth, as you said, you will not be able to build bases. You'll only be able to build shelters, which are primitive bases, pretty much, that you just plop down and can use to either put a sleeping bag in or hide from the rain, I'm assuming. And then also what he said, just to correct that, again, apparently it's not an early access key, it's just a key to actually get the game. So you get the game for free if you win the contest.
Yeah.
The early
Exactly,
access is
yeah.
apparently only going to be given out by the devs to certain people. So there's no way that you'll be able to do it other than messaging them at gamepires.com and then asking for one, but obviously don't sound too needy, and to understand that you most likely probably won't get a key, but if you get a key, then you're special, and I'm jealous of you, and also officially hate you. Just kidding. Not really, I'm being serious. You get the game before me.
I swear I need to ask one of those guys, where the hell do I need to leave the case of beers?
Also,
I mean, I live like...
just a quick thing to throw out, we've also been streaming for 2 hours.
Ah, yes.
I know, and that's what I wanted to ask. Do you guys have anything planned? Do you wanna expand tonight's streams a bit longer?
Yeah, I can
And
do that.
if you would, and if you want to do it, could we take a few minute break
Yeah.
at the 2-hour mark, for instance?
Well, we're actually already at the 2 hour mark, but we can take a break and kind of like wrap up right now. Take maybe like a half-hour break or something, so we can all like eat, drink, take some time to get maybe some more information or something. Because I do have more information I can use that's not directly related to the dev stream, but just so we have time to prepare and kind of wind down a little bit before making another stream.
Yeah, we can switch to our Be Right Back scenes for half an hour or whatnot.
Oh no, I'll end the stream for now and then start up a new one then.
Oh, me? I'm just going to keep it one long stream if we're doing that.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask. For us to agree upon because we can either make it as a little bit shorter break and keep it on Be Right Back, or we can make it a longer break, like you said, 30 minutes, and just shut it and reboot it.
Okay, how about this? Everybody who's currently watching all of our streams, anywhere, do you guys prefer us to leave it for a little bit on We'll Be Right Back, or stream starting soon, etc.? Or would you guys prefer us just to actually close the stream down, take a small break, and then come back after that and start up another stream? I'm going to leave that up to you guys while we kind of just decide. And they will add base and raid, or it stay like that? What do you mean? You're going to have to explain more on that so I can answer your question, but I definitely will answer the question. And as far as bases go, there's bases in the game. Thanks for telling me that, Tax. But there's bases in the game, pre-structures that you're going to get, but you're not going to be able to actually build any bases yourself except for primitive things like a tent or like a little wooden shelter. Other than that, you won't be able to build anything at all, just repairing, mendering, or reinforcing structures that are already in the game. Now, I'm sure you saw that. Yep. Okay, so do you guys want to talk about anything while we try to have the people decide if they want us to wait or not? Or do you want to just decide? Because I would prefer if we ended the stream and then came back after a break, because not only does there's a couple points I can point out. One, depends on how long you'll be for and what game you are going to stream. It's getting late in here. Sweden, I'm assuming. It's going to be Scum. We're still going to be talking about the game. It's just now, instead of talking about just the dev stream, we're going to be talking about facts in general, what we think about the game, just pretty much what we're doing now, just other things as well.
Okay,
So-
well then I guess what we need to decide is how long we're having the break.
Yeah, how
for
long
then.
is the break going to be? I'm looking at you, Syntax.
That was-
Okay.
Well, you're the one that suggested half an hour, which I don't know. I
I mean, it
guess
could
it's
be
fine with
shorter.
me.
I don't really mind either way.
Oh, I was
Those
thinking half an hour so we could all grab something to eat.
Well, if we're
or
gonna do a half hour, I think
Yeah.
we should end the stream then, and then come back.
Yeah, half hours is too long for
Okay,
a.
guys.
Garrett.
So we will come back at, let's say 2:45, because it's gonna take us about 5 minutes to wrap this up. We'll be back at my time 2:45. So let's say 35 minutes from now.
So those of you that are not in our time zone, for me and Slave,
I just said 35
That
minutes from
is-
now.
yes, 35 minutes from
Literally.
now, or it is the MDT time zone.
I could
If
just
you
say
want to
45
actually
too,
figure
yeah.
out,
But I did say 35 minutes. Everybody here understands 35 minutes. We will be back in 35 minutes. So, for everybody who might not be there for the next stream, and for everybody who's here right now, thank you guys for stopping by, watching all of our streams, watching my YouTube stream, and also if you're watching this on YouTube after it's already out, thank you for watching it. I hope you enjoyed it. Remember, guys, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. And also for everybody here, don't forget to follow all of the people in this stream except for Kakadane. He's actually a guest and doesn't have a channel you can follow. But follow us all, because we do daily streams for this as much as possible. And we will be continuing this as long as possible when it comes to Scum, even after the release. Though it might change on the frequency we do that, depending on schedules. And we might just start doing, after the game comes out, streams on the game. And then when we do a stream to talk about the game, do it whenever anything is changed or added to the game.
yeah, do like an update
And also-
development stream kind of thing.
Never mind! Kakadane has a channel! You told me!
But do you stream Kagadane?
No.
Okay.
Will.
Why would you tell me you have a channel if you don't use it?
But he will.
Okay. So, we will be back, guys. Thank you guys for understanding and staying here. Remember, follow me. I love all of you. Except for Chaotic Rob.
And I know you guys all hate me.
We'll see you guys later. Once again, thanks for stopping by.
But I embrace that hate.